"You're going undercover," the captain said. I expected a stakeout, not a fake marriage with Detective Alex Monroe, the guy who barely speaks and never looks twice at anyone, sharing a bed, faking love, selling a lie. But I wasn't ready for what would break me most, realizing I didn't want it to be pretend anymore. When Captain Jenkins said I was being reassigned, I thought it'd be traffic duty or another month in narcotics. I didn't expect him to slide a folder across the desk and say, "You're going undercover as a married couple." I stared at him. A couple? As in, romantic? His face didn't move. Yes, Bennett. Married, domestic, sharing a bed. Before I could respond, the door opened behind me. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Detective Alex Monroe. The guy with the quiet eyes and colder silences. The one who cleared rooms without saying a word. If brooding had a poster child, it'd be him. And apparently my new fake husband. "This is a bad idea," I said, more to myself than to Jenkins. "You two look the part," Jenkins replied. "You're both clean, believable, and you've worked together before." "Barely," I muttered. "Good enough. You'll be moving into a property across the street from our suspects. High-end neighborhood, gated, full surveillance. We need eyes inside without alerting them. You're blending in as the new neighbors." Alex didn't say anything. Just gave me a nod like we were about to take down a gang, not share toothbrush space. Later, when we arrived at the fake apartment, it hit me. This wasn't just some stakeout. This was domestic theater. One bedroom, one bed, one life to fake. "Guess we'll be getting real familiar," I said, trying to lighten the tension as I opened the fridge, already stocked with groceries we didn't buy. He didn't laugh, just started unpacking a box labeled photos with the same focus I'd seen him use clearing a crime scene. Our handler had given us everything. Fake names, fake backstory, even a fake dog, though Alex promptly vetoed that. "Allergies," he said flatly. So it was just us, Caleb and Jason, two married digital consultants who met in Boston, fell in love over a shared love of murder podcasts, and now relocated for better schools despite having no kids. We practiced casual touches, the way people do when they've lived together for years. A brush of fingers, a soft laugh. At one point, I nudged his arm and said, "Try not to fall for me too fast." "Don't worry," he replied without looking up from the mission file. "I'm immune." I hated how steady his voice was, like this was just another job, like he wasn't affected at all. The first night in bed, I lay stiff on the left side, facing the wall. I could feel his body beside me, steady and warm. We didn't speak, but I didn't sleep either. By day 3, we had every neighbor's name memorized. Their pets, their routines. The people here were observant, too observant. The kind of suburb where someone notices if your husband doesn't touch your lower back at the mailbox. Then came the invite. Dinner at the home of the very people we were investigating. The Whitmores. High society smiles, clean records, quiet rumors. We needed in. Fast. "They're watching," Alex said as we left the apartment that night. "They're testing us." "Testing what?" "If we sell it. Us." On the walk across the street, he reached down and took my hand. I froze. His grip was confident, practiced, like he'd done it 1,000 times. "Relax," he whispered. "They're watching through the window." I didn't relax. Inside, it was all small talk and subtle interrogation. They asked questions like they were complimenting us. How long we'd been together. Who cooked. Whether we were happy. Alex was smooth. Too smooth. He answered everything like it was truth. Laughed at the right times, even leaned in once to whisper a joke in my ear. It wasn't the whisper that got me. It was how close his breath was. How real it all felt for a second too long. I started doubting myself. Were we just acting, or was he just better at pretending? We were leaving when he did it. He leaned in, eyes soft, voice low, and kissed my temple. "You ready to go, babe?" I blinked hard, my stomach twisting. The word lingered in my ears long after we stepped into the dark. Back at the apartment, I tried to shake it off. Threw my blazer on the chair. Sat on the edge of the couch like I'd run a marathon. "You were good tonight," I said, voice quieter than I meant. He poured himself a glass of water. "You sound surprised." "I am. I didn't know you could pull that off." He looked at me then. You think I can't fake affection? I opened my mouth to say something snarky, but stopped, because that's not what it felt like. Not entirely. Then I asked it, the question I shouldn't have. How do you do it? Talk to me like that. Touch me like that. He didn't blink, just said, I wasn't pretending that hard. The words landed like a punch. I couldn't breathe for a second. He walked past me toward the bedroom, paused. Good night, Bennett. And then he was gone, leaving silence in his place, and something else I didn't have a name for. Not yet. By the end of week 1, the space between pretending and feeling had narrowed to a thread. We had our routine now, morning coffee by 6:15, daily walks to be seen, a shared calendar on the fridge we didn't need but kept up for show. Every movement was calculated, every smile measured, except sometimes it wasn't, like when Alex would rest his hand on the small of my back in front of neighbors and it stayed there a second too long, or when he'd touch my wrist mid-conversation, not for show, not for anyone else, just because. At least that's what it felt like. But I couldn't ask, not without risking the mission, not without risking myself. Then came the night I almost crossed the line. We were on the couch going over surveillance audio. Our legs brushed. He didn't move. I didn't either. The air felt too still. You okay? He asked. Fine, I lied. You're not sleeping much. I looked at him. Neither are you. He didn't deny it. I should have stopped there. Should have looked away, gone back to work, swallowed everything. But I didn't. Instead I asked, back at the Whitmores, when you kissed me, why the temple? He blinked, caught off guard for once. What? You could have kissed my cheek, or said nothing, but you chose that. He exhaled through his nose. I didn't think it mattered. It did. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his voice lower now. Do you want it to matter? I didn't answer. Not because I didn't know, because I did. Too well. The next morning we got a lead. A runner linked to the Whitmores was making a drop near an abandoned gardening center outside the neighborhood. We weren't meant to engage, just observe. But the guy was twitchy, kept checking his surroundings, kept looking right at us. Then his hand went to his waistband. I moved before I could think. Shoved Alex out of the way and tackled the guy, knees scraping concrete, wrist twisting as I forced the gun free. Backup swarmed seconds later. By the time it was over, my chest was heaving, and Alex was staring at me like he didn't know what to say. Back at the apartment, I dropped my keys and didn't move. You didn't see it, I said. I had it under control. No, you didn't. My voice cracked. He almost shot you. Alex stepped forward. You think I don't know that? You froze. I assessed. You froze. He went quiet. I turned away, hands gripping the counter. This whole thing, pretending to be close, pretending it doesn't mean anything. I can't keep doing it. Silence. Then his voice, softer than I'd ever heard it. What if it does mean something? I turned around, pulse pounding. Don't do that. Do what? Blur the line. Say things you don't mean. I'm not. He took a step closer. His hand hovered at my back but didn't touch. I don't know when it started, he said, voice tight. Maybe the first night, maybe before, but I stopped pretending somewhere along the way. I swallowed hard. Then why act like none of it matters? Because I didn't know if it mattered to you. My throat tightened. It shouldn't. But it does. The room spun. I stepped back. I can't. His jaw clenched. I get it. He moved away, gave me space. Just like always. That night in bed, I faced the wall. He didn't speak, but I felt his presence beside me. Steady, warm, awake, and I hated how much I needed it. The gala was held at the Ridgeview Country Club. String quartet, champagne, too many eyes watching from behind perfect smiles. It was the kind of place where everything looked polished, but nothing was safe. Alex adjusted his tie in the mirror before we left. They'll be watching us closely tonight. You mean Whitmore? I asked. And his associate, the one who keeps showing up but never speaks. We think he's the one moving product. So what's the goal tonight? We sell it, he said, like we always do. I nodded, but something in my chest twisted. The last few days had blurred too much, his hand brushing mine when no one was watching, the way he'd glance at me when he thought I didn't notice, and the silence in our bed that felt too full to ignore. We walked in together, smiled, nodded, blended. We did it well, maybe too well. A woman complimented our chemistry. A man said, "You two are clearly the real deal." I forced a laugh. Alex thanked them like we weren't both quietly unraveling. Then I saw him, tall, sharp, calculating, Whitmore's associate, standing near the bar, watching us, not casually, but like a man searching for a crack in the wall. Alex saw him too. I felt the shift, his hand finding the small of my back, his tone softening as he leaned in. "Act natural," he said. "You're touching me," I replied under my breath. "I know." Then he did it. "Look at me," he whispered. I did. And before I could react, he kissed me. Not a quick peck, not a brush for show. It was slow, steady, certain. His hand curled at my jaw, his mouth soft and real. It wasn't for Whitmore. It wasn't for the mission. It was for me. And I kissed him back. Everything else faded. The music, the people, the case. For a few seconds, I wasn't a cop. I wasn't undercover. I was just his. When he pulled away, he didn't look rattled. He smiled at the associate like nothing had happened. "He gets shy when I do that," he said lightly. The man chuckled, walked away. But I wasn't laughing. Back at the apartment, I dropped my blazer on the couch. Alex loosened his tie, moving like it was just another debrief. I couldn't take it. "You kissed me," I said. He looked at me. "You kissed me back." "That's not the point." "Then what is?" I stepped forward. "Was that part of the job?" His jaw tensed. "It sold the cover." "No, that's not why you did it." He didn't answer. "You wanted to," I said quietly. He nodded once. "Yeah." I stared at him, heart hammering. "You don't get to act like it meant nothing." "I'm not," he said, "but I don't know what you want me to say." "Say it wasn't fake." He stepped closer. "It wasn't." I swallowed hard. "So now what?" "I don't know." He looked scared, and I hated that it made me feel less alone. "Do you think we crossed the line?" I asked. He shook his head. "I think we stopped pretending." For a moment, neither of us moved. Then I reached for him. The kiss this time was mine. No cameras, no audience. Just two people who'd built a lie convincing enough that it became real. When we pulled apart, everything had changed, and we both knew it. It ended with a knock. No chase, no gunshots, no dramatic standoff. Just a knock at the Whitmore's front door and 3 agents in suits saying, "You're under arrest." After weeks of surveillance, after the gala, after the kiss, it felt wrong, too quiet, too clean. We stood across the street, watching from behind drawn blinds as the suspects were let out in cuffs. Whitmore didn't resist. Neither did his associate. They didn't even look surprised. I should have felt relief. Instead, all I felt was the silence between us. At headquarters, we debriefed. Audio confirmed the deals. Video from the gala sealed it. The department was pleased. "You played your roles well," Jenkins said, flipping through the folder like it didn't weigh 1,000 pounds. "Are we done here?" I asked. He nodded. "Take the evening. Wrap up your things. The apartment will be cleared tomorrow." Back in the car, we didn't speak. Alex drove. I watched the houses roll by. Yards I'd memorized, neighbors I could name. Everything we'd learned to pretend now felt like it might have been real. At the apartment, he moved like he was packing for a weekend trip. Quick, quiet, distant. I didn't know what I expected. A conversation, a breakdown, anything but this careful unraveling. I found one of his shirts folded on my side of the bed. I didn't give it back. We had dinner at the counter. Leftover pasta, no music, no jokes. "This is it then?" I asked. He didn't look up. "Yeah." We closed the case. We did. The silence stretched. I wanted to ask what the kiss meant, what we meant, but I didn't, and neither did he. After he finished his plate, he stood. "I'm heading out," he said. I stayed seated. "Right." He picked up his bag, walked to the door, paused, then he left. No goodbye, no explanation, just the soft click of the door behind him. I didn't move for a long time. The bed felt too big, The couch too stiff, the apartment too quiet. Everything looked the same, but nothing was. I touched the photo frame on the mantel, the one they gave us, where we were smiling like people who knew each other. Maybe we had, maybe we still did. But now he was gone, and I was the only one still standing inside the lie that had turned into something else. 3 weeks passed, then 4. No texts, no calls, no accidental run-ins at the station. It was like the assignment had been a chapter in someone else's life, and someone had slammed the cover shut. I told myself it was just a job. I tried to believe it. I started waking up before my alarm again. Coffee didn't taste right. The badge felt heavier. I laughed when I had to, talked when I should, but it all felt like lip syncing through someone else's script. I kept thinking about that night, not the kiss, not even the aftermath, the silence, how he looked right at me and said nothing, how I didn't ask him to stay, how maybe neither of us knew how. I replayed it all, the fake wedding photo, the coffee routines, the subtle touches that became second nature. None of it was part of the mission. None of it had to end the way it did. But it did. Then came the knock. Late afternoon. I wasn't expecting anyone. I didn't even check the peephole. My chest already knew. When I opened the door, he was there. Alex Monroe. Same stance, same eyes, but something different in the way he looked at me. Like he hadn't slept in days, like he'd been holding something in too long. I said nothing. He stepped inside. I tried, he said. I stood still, unsure if I was breathing. Tried to forget it. Tried to tell myself it was just pressure, proximity, but it wasn't. I stayed silent. I kept thinking it would fade, that it'd feel like any other case. He looked up. But I don't feel normal. I feel like I left something behind and I can't breathe without it. My throat closed. You walked out like it didn't matter. Because I was scared it did. Silence stretched between us again, but it felt different now. Tense, but honest. I thought I was protecting you, he added. From me. From the mess I didn't know how to clean up. I let out a dry laugh. You could have just said something. I didn't know what I was to you. You were the only thing that felt real, I said quietly. He blinked. I stepped closer. I wasn't pretending, Alex. He exhaled like he'd been holding that breath for weeks. Are you still scared? He asked. Yes, I admitted, but I'm more scared of not knowing. He didn't answer with words, just closed the distance and wrapped his arms around me like he'd been waiting to come home. We stood like that, two people who'd been everything to each other in silence, finally choosing to speak. When we pulled back, I touched his face gently. We're not undercover anymore. I know, he said. So what do we do now? His fingers laced with mine. We stopped lying. We didn't need a plan, not a label, just the choice to stay. That night, we sat on the floor with takeout between us and nothing rehearsed. The silence felt full. The room felt ours. And when he fell asleep on the couch with his head on my shoulder, I didn't move. Because for the first time, this wasn't about playing a part. It was about choosing one another. For real.